Hey guys, what's happening? It's Craig. Welcome. It's the Spirit of Vinyl. Hope you guys are all doing great this week. Hope everything's going well for y'all. Friday night, still drinking me some Voodoo Ranger. Just hanging out and chilling. Hope you guys are all having a great time. Cheers to you all. Well, today, I'm going to talk about Kiss again. I look back, it's been like a month since I did what I called the first 4 years of showing my Kiss records. I left off in 1978 last time, and my first one I did my thing on the 4 solo albums. So I did the solo albums, and then I got some comments about how terrible Kiss is and how they suck. So out of spite, I decided to show my Kiss collection, and I showed all the albums all the way up until the solo albums. So now I'm going to start after the solo albums. So we're starting in 1979 and show you guys what I have, which is pretty much everything, by the way. So 1979, Kiss releases Dynasty. There's the track listing right there. This kind of changes their sound. They become more of a disco. It's more of a disco style rock rather than more of the pure hard rock. Things like I Was Made for Loving You, Charisma, they definitely have definitely a disco beat on them. But I love this record, honestly. And it's got Save Your Love and 2000 Man. Ace sings 2000 Man, which is a Rolling Stones cover. This is great because Ace had really, besides the solo album, he'd only sang on the Love Gun album. So here we get 3 songs. We get Hard Times, Save Your Love, and 2000 Man from Ace on this record. So one of my favorites right there. So I forgot to set me a place to put this stuff. There's your inner sleeve that surprisingly I still have. Actually, I found that in another record some other time. I don't have the poster. It came with a big fold-out poster. Has this brown Casablanca. This is an '84 repress. Like I said, the album came out in '79. My copy is an '84 repress. And then let's see. I got these out of order here. Screw it. I'll just go with this. After that, Kiss releases Unmasked. And this is still that same... inner sleeve is just this black thing here. So, this is still this kind of the same sound as the Dynasty, like a continuation of that. More of a poppy, sort of disco-inspired sound. There's your track listing on the back. Easy It Seems, Is That You, Naked City, Shandy, She's So European, Talk to Me, another song by Ace Frehley, Torpedo Girl, another song by Ace Frehley, Two Sides of the Coin, another song by Ace Frehley. I mean, this is a killer record also. It's really good. This is the end of Peter Criss's career with Kiss. Basically, he only plays on one song on here. And he sings... I think it's Shandy, actually. But yeah, he only plays drums on like one of these songs, and he sings on like one, and then he's out of the band. They don't really tell us that at the time, of course. We find out later it's like Anton Fig from Ace's solo album played a lot on this, and some studio musicians. So definitely kind of the shifting of the band at this point in time. This album, I still have the merch order form that came with it. Let's see what the merch cost. Posters are $2.50. T-shirts were $6. $6. And that's from 1980. And this one, I still have the poster. I actually have 2 copies of this record. This is one of the ones that was found in the dumpster. When I found those in the dumpster, it had everything in it. So I've been playing this one, and the other copy hangs on my wall over my shoulder right there. Somewhere back there, I framed it up. There's the label on there. It's got the Unmasked from the poster on there. But I thought this is a really good album. A lot of the old school Kiss fans from the earlier, they really don't like Dynasty and Unmasked because of its sound. It's more of a disco time frame thing. And that's kind of what Kiss always did in their career, as we'll find out as we go on. They kind of change their sound depending on what's going on around them. They don't sound exactly the same. They didn't do an AC/DC where AC/DC, you know what you expect. They're going to play the same thing, the same style of music through their entire career. Nothing really changed at all with those guys. Where Kiss, they kind of did that for a while, and then as times changed and just try to stay relevant and stuff, they kind of changed their style a little bit. All right, the next one I have is Kiss, the best of the solo albums. This is a German press. As you can tell by the S's are different, because you can't have the Kiss S's in Germany because they look too much like an SS symbol, and those Germans don't like that. This actually came out before Unmasked, but I had them stacked in the wrong order. The back of it has pictures of all the records that they'd put out beforehand with all the German S's on there, of course. Track listing. Side 1 and 2 is the Ace release, or side 1 is 3 songs from Ace and 3 songs from Peter, and side 2 of the record are 3 from Gene's and 3 from Paul's. This is pretty cool. It's got a decent track listing, and I play this every once in a while. This is something I've had forever. Like I said, this came out in 80. I probably picked this up myself in probably 83 or 84 as a teenager. And it was cool. You can listen to it, and it was really hard to find at the time because of the German press. I had to have it shipped in, which wasn't as easy as it is nowadays. There's the label on there. I'm sorry, you can't really see it too well because of the sleeve on there, but I'm not pulling them all out, so... All right, so now Peter's left the band. We're getting a new drummer, and they're going to put out a new album. And the next thing Kiss does is put out The Elder. Now, this album gets hated. This album is a concept album. This does not sound like Kiss. There are a few songs on here that sound like Kiss. It's a gatefold. It's only a single album. And basically, this is a story about like a magical, I guess you'd say kind of like a Hobbit type world with bad guys and, there's a boy who's coming of age and the elders and stuff are wanting him to, come and do his journey. There's the label on the inside. And I actually have 2 copies of this. I have that one with that label, and then I have this one, which is a Japanese press. So this one, it looks pretty much the same on the inside and everything. But the Japanese pressing came with this inserted in the front. So when you bought it or when it's wrapped up, this is in the front of it. Rather than having an Obi strip on, it's like a little Obi poster that goes in front of the record. And of course, it's got the Japanese inserts and stuff with it. So basically, it looks like this when it was in its sleeve, and then when you pulled it out, it looked like the other Elder cover. Now this one label is different. It's got the Casablanca label, and actually they are different. So this is the Japanese one. And if you'll look, Fanfare, Just a Boy Odyssey, Only You, Under the Rose, Dark Light, World Without Heroes, The Oath, and Mr. Blackwell. Then the other one, the American version that I have, is also an early press. So it's showing the same order. Oh yeah, hey look, what do you know? It's the same order. Sorry. I was confused. But the Japanese one plays in that order, whereas my American one plays in a different order. It starts with The Oath, and then Fanfare, then Just a Boy, Dark Light, Only You. Then you flip it over, and you get World Without Heroes, Mr. Blackwell, Escape from the Island, which is not on um, the track listing at all. This is a misprint, or this was not necessarily mispressed. This is in a different order than what their vision was for this record. So I have this one where it's basically out of order, where this is the order that it was meant to be played at to help understand the story better, from what I understand. So it was weird when I first heard it. I got that Japanese press when I found those ones in the dumpster, and I've been having that copy on vinyl forever. Then when they remastered them all on CD back in the mid to late 90s or whatever it was, I was like, I'm streaming it on the internet or whatever one day, and I'm like, why is this in the wrong order? Why is this album in the wrong order? I'm listening to it going, this is in the wrong order. Why? It didn't make sense to me because I'd only listened to it the other way. So, all right, so that was in 81, and that, like I said, that totally changed the band. That was more of a, it's a concept album, and it's more melodic, and it's completely different for Kiss, and it's not what the fans wanted, especially after losing Peter Criss and everything else. So this is a compilation album with a couple of new songs on it. German press called Killers, was not released in the US at all, at the time anyway. There's the back of it, and so I'm a Legend Tonight, Down on Your Knees, Nowhere to Run, and Partners in Crime are the 4 new songs on this, and then the rest of it is all like greatest hits compilation stuff. This is sort of the look of the other. You can see they kind of changed their look. So, and then that's the Casablanca label for that in the German one. So, I really like this. Like I said, it's a compilation, greatest hits type record, but those 4 new songs are great. And if you listen to that and realize kind of like, maybe if they hadn't done The Elder, or if they hadn't done the solo albums, and you pick some of the greatest, these songs, I'm a Legend Tonight, Down Your Knees, Nowhere to Run, those all kind of have, I'm not sure what era they really fit into Kiss, sort of an early 80s era, I guess. So they could have been the beginning of an album or something, but they did The Elder, so they may have had these songs. I'm not really sure the story of that at all. But I do like listening to Killers. That's another one I've had forever. That's another one that was really hard to find, and when I was a teenager and I found it, I thought that was really, really cool. All right, next up, 1982, Creatures of the Night, Return to Form. This is the first Kiss album I ever owned. This is the era when I get into Kiss is right here. Everything there I went back and got. This is my first Kiss record, is right here. It's Creatures of the Night. We have Eric Carr on the drums now. Of course, he was on The Elder, obviously. And looks like Ace is still in the band, but Ace is actually not in the band on this at all. There's your track listing: Creature, Saint Sinner, Keep Me Coming, I Love It Loud, Killer, War Machine, whatever. We were led to believe Ace was still in the band, but we all now know that Vinnie Vincent, there's your inner sleeve, that Vinnie Vincent was actually playing on this record pretty much the whole time. There's the label on there, and I know you won't be able to read that, but if you look at side 1, they give credit to, okay, well, maybe I'm misrepresenting myself here. Sorry about that, guys. I know at one point in time I was looking at this thing. Oh, yeah, so here's on the inner sleeve. So, side 1 over here just gives credit to like Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Adam Mitchell, and stuff like that. And then side 2 gives credit to Gene Simmons and Vincent Cusano, who becomes Vinnie Vincent at the end. So, Vinnie Vincent's technically in the band, but we don't know it. Kiss is, it's pre-internet. They're not really telling us that Ace is not playing on this record at all. Vinnie Vincent plays on this record. And as a teenager, this album is super heavy, Return to Form. Eric's drums is, just beating the hell out of him. This is a great, killer, heavy, hard rock album. And like I said, it's from 1982. This is a great, great record. And I was too young to really realize it, but you listen to this, you can tell it's not Ace Frehley playing the guitar. Even though he's on the front cover, you can tell that's not Ace playing the guitar. So Ace leaves the band, then it's official, then they decide with all the changes and everything else they're going to do. So in 1983, they take the makeup off and they put out Lick It Up, and they replace Ace Frehley with Vinnie Vincent. But he'd already been replaced. We'd seen Vinnie with makeup. He had an Ankh Warrior type of look. So this album comes out, and this is still kind of this heavy, fast, kind of hard rock. Don't let the song Lick It Up fool you. Everything else on this record is good, heavy, hard driving drums and everything else. Lick It Up, it was the lead single off of this, and they did All Hell's Breaking Loose was another single off of this, but Lick It Up is probably the weakest song on this record. So, Inner Sleeves just got lyrics and stuff on it, and they've also changed record labels. They are now on Mercury. And Lick It Up to me is a killer record. This is the first time I saw Kiss was on this tour. In like February of '84, I saw Kiss. It was my first concert. I saw Kiss with Riot and Vandenberg. And I honestly had no idea who Riot or Vandenberg were at the time, and I did not care. I was just there to see Kiss. I was 14 years old. Kiss was my band. They were the only band I was really into at the time. Well, you kind of can watch last week. You can see I was kind of getting into other stuff, but Kiss was first, and I was so psyched to go to this show. So, yeah, that's what happens with Lick It Up. And then Vinnie Vincent does not last. He's got a bad ego trip. He's a pain in the ass when they're on tour. According to Gene and Paul, he refuses to sign a contract, so he can't really be in the band anymore. So they come out with their next album, Animalize, and they put Mark St. John on guitar. This has got Heavens on Fire and Under the Gun and Thrills in the Night. This is still, there's kind of changing their look a little bit, but this is still heavy. This comes out in 1984. I actually have 2 copies of this too. They're still on Mercury Records. And I do have 2 copies. I have this one, I can tell, is the one I had as a teenager, because see that pinhole? I hung them on the wall. The other one does not have a pinhole and is in a little bit better shape. But the only difference is one's an Allied press and one's a Halpage press. But besides that, they're both U.S. presses. I've had this one forever. The other one is one of the ones I found in the dumpster. So, but Animalize is a killer record. Mark St. John's guitar work on here is really good. We find out later that Bruce Kulick also played on this, who will replace Mark St. John on the next album. Actually, he replaces Mark St. John during the tour. I saw Kiss on this tour, and Bruce Kulick was the guitar player. Mark St. John had some sort of arthritis issue in his hand and could not play, so Bruce was stepping in and playing. There's the Inner Sleeve. Eric's drumming is still killer on this. Yeah, and then this is the other one that I found, but the cover's not, and it's got some creases right there. But yeah, everything's the same pretty much. This is just the other one I found in the dumpster, so I now have 2 copies of that. I kept them both. All right, 1985. Bruce Kulick's in the band officially, and Kiss puts out Asylum. Their look changes. They become more of a glam style, 80s. You know, it's 1985. They're becoming more of a glam style rock band, I guess you'd say. Even though Kiss has always kind of been a glam band, I guess they could have been considered that back in the 70s, but this is more that 80s thing with the neon and the colors and everything else. They're starting to embrace that a little bit. You can see with the pictures on the Inner Sleeve, they're getting less dark and more, I mean, look at Paul's, you know, wearing these sparkly clothes and these coats and stuff like that. But I really did like this record. King of the Mountain, Any Way You Slice It, Who Wants to Be Lonely, Trial by Fire, I'm Alive. Those are all great songs. That's side 1. Love's a Deadly Weapon, Tears Are Falling, Secret Crew, Radar for Love, and All Night. just really cool. It's a very good rock band. Bruce is a really good guitar player. Eric's drums, of course. Eric is a great drummer, always was a great drummer. He liked to beat the hell out of him. He liked to try to, he always said he was kind of trying to emulate John Bonham. So that's the kind of heavy sound that Eric played the drums with. I already showed you the inner sleeve, still on Mercury Records. And then I have a Tears Are Falling 12-inch single that's got Tears Are Falling, Heaven's on Fire Live, and Any Way You Slice It, that also came out in 1985 after The Asylum. So I just picked this up. I ran into this a year or so ago, and I had to buy it because, I'm a Kiss fan. So, all right, after that, they come up with Crazy Nights in 1987, and they've kind of gotten away from the neon a little bit. There's your track listing right there. They've changed their look a little bit more. Paul Stanley, of course, is doing his thing, but they've kind of gotten away from that neon glam look. But this album itself, I like it a lot better now than I used to, but when this album came out, I didn't really care for this album. Really, to me, there's not that many good songs on here. Crazy, Crazy Nights was the lead single, and it's just, I didn't think it was that good. Hell or High Water, No, 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 those are pretty good. When Your Walls Come Down, Reason to Live, I like that song a lot. But overall, this was not one of my favorite albums of that era. The inner sleeve, I only have half of. It got split in half. It's got lyrics on one side. The other side, you just have a picture of the band. I think I cut it in half and hung it in the wall when I was a teenager. Still on Mercury, once again. Then in 1988, they put out another compilation album, Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, which is their first compilation, basically officially, because Killers was only in Germany and Europe and stuff. So this one is their first compilation album since Double Platinum, honestly, that was, released in the US or whatever. And this has a couple of new songs also. It's got Let's Put the X in Sex and You Make Me Rock Hard on there. And then Love Gun, Detroit Rock City, I Love It Loud, Deuce, Look It Up, Strutter. They re-record, all these songs are re-recorded. So it's kind of a greatest hits album, but they did the same thing with Double Platinum. They re-recorded some of that, so it wasn't exactly off of that. And then, Shout Out Loud is, I think some of this is live. If you look, Beth here with Eric Carr on vocals. This is pretty good. Put the X in Sex, You Make Me Rock Hard, kind of cheesy Paul Stanley, Love My Dick songs, but overall, it's a good compilation record. And I did kind of like it a lot. And it's on Mercury. And let's see here. Actually, yeah. So yeah, I was just looking at, there's the inner sleeve. It's got lyrics and, there's a picture and stuff. But they did videos for X and Sex. So, I think they were more, Gene had kind of checked out at the time and he was doing movies and stuff. So I think they needed to put a record out. So Paul recorded a couple of songs and, had Eric redo Beth. And they put an album out for contractual obligations more than anything else when it comes to Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. Then in 1989, Hot in the Shade comes out. Now, this album, it's still, these guys have been together now for 7 or 8 years. Yeah, about 6 or 7 years where Bruce has been in the band, Eric's been in the band. I think they're firing on all cylinders here. Rise to It, Betrayed, Hide Your Heart, Prisoner of Love, Read My Body. This has got Forever, Cadillac Dreams, King of Hearts. This is a killer record, man. This is a good, heavy record. A lot of people don't like it, but I love this record. I always have loved this record. There's your inner sleeve. It's just, a picture of the Sphinx, and it's got lyrics on there. And they're still with the black Mercury labels. And yeah, I think this is a great record. And then everything's going well. And then I want to say, sorry, I'm trying to. Anyway, sorry. This album comes out. I think this is a killer, good hard rock albums from 1989, and everything's going well with Kiss. And then Eric Carr dies. And that was it. Eric Carr died, and then they have to kind of start over and get a new drummer and all that. And the 90s kind of changed things once again. But as of now, I'm going to leave it right there for part 2 of this. Basically, I can call this the next 10 years or something. We just covered from 79 to 89. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 albums in 10 years if you count Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, the best of the solos, and the Killers compilation, which also had new songs on it too. So, but yeah, so that's what I've got. In 10 years, they put out that much music. They were very busy, and they were changing with the times. They were changing with looks. I mean, this is way different than that neon green and yellow and pink that Paul was wearing just 3 albums beforehand. So they're going along with the times. Hot in the Shade is a lot heavier, a lot darker than the couple albums previous. I really think it lets Bruce's guitar work really come out in this record, allows him to open up a little bit more. This is a really good album, and they're getting heavier and heavier. And the next time I do that, we'll talk about the next album where they get even heavier. So this takes us from 79 to 89, through some changes in the band. You know, Dynasty came out in 79, and the cracks are starting to show, and they had been starting to show since the solo albums. And then, you know, Peter leaves the band, then Ace leaves the band, and they're replaced, and they get one guitarist, and he doesn't last long. They get another one, he doesn't last long. They get another one, and they finally start to jive. Everything's going really well, and they're really solidifying as a band with all 4 of them. And then Eric gets sick with brain cancer and dies. And it really sucked, and that was the first celebrity death that really struck me. And by that time, in 89, I'm 20 years old, and yeah, that was a sad day. I actually cried. First time I actually cried when somebody died who I did not know personally. So, but I'd seen, and every single one of these albums I saw, every single tour, every time they came to town, and yeah, so anyway, that's more Kiss for you guys. I love you guys. Thanks for watching once again. I promise it'll be at least another month before I bore you with Kiss again. I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and liking and sharing and everything else. I really appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you all in a few days. Cheers once again.